Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and a happy life. Other studies indicate that working on several things at once lowers our productivity by at least 60% and our IQ by more than 10 points. One study funded by the Swedish Council for Working Life and Social Research found that a sample group of more than 4,000 young adults between the ages of 20 and 24 who were addicted to their smartphones got less sleep, felt less connected to their community at school, and were more likely to show signs of depression. Concentrating on a single task makes achieving flow more likely, increases productivity, increases our power of retention, makes us less likely to make mistakes, helps us feel calm and in control of the task at hand, causes us to become more considerate as we pay full attention to those around us, increases creativity. Multitasking makes achieving flow impossible, decreases productivity by 60%, so it doesn't seem to. Makes it harder to remember things, makes us more likely to make mistakes, makes us feel stressed by the sensation that we are losing control, that our tasks are controlling us, causes us to hurt those around us through our addiction to stimuli. Always checking our phones, always on social media, reduces creativity. What can we do to avoid falling victim to this flow impeding epidemic? How can we train our brains to focus on a single task? Here are a few ideas for creating a space and a time free of distractions to increase our chances of reaching a state of flow and therapy, getting in touch with our ikigai. Don't look at any kind of screen for the first hour you are awake and the last hour before you go to sleep. Turn off your phone before you achieve flow. There is nothing more important than the task you have chosen to do during this time. If this seems too extreme, enable the don't disturb function so only the people closest to you can contact you in case of emergency. Designate one day of the week, perhaps a Saturday or Sunday, a day of technological fasting, making exceptions only for e-readers without Wi-Fi or MP3 players. Go to a cafe that doesn't have Wi-Fi. Read and respond to email only once or twice per day. Define those times clearly and stick to them. Try the Pomodoro technique. Get yourself a kitchen timer. Some are made to look like a pomodoro or tomato, and they commit to working on a single task as long as it's running. The Pomodoro technique recommends 25 minutes of work and 5 minutes of rest for each cycle, but you can also do 50 minutes of work and 10 minutes of rest. Find the pace that's best for you. The most important thing is to be disciplined in completing each cycle. Start your work session with a ritual you enjoy and end it with a reward. Train your mind to return to the present when you find yourself getting distracted. Practice mindfulness or another form of meditation. Go for a walk or a swim. Whatever will help you get centered again. Work in a space where you will not be distracted. If you can't do this at home, go to library, a cafe, or if your task involves playing the saxophone, a music studio. If you find that your surroundings continue to distract you, keep looking until you find the right place. Divide each activity into groups of related tasks and assign each group its own place in time. For example, if you are writing a magazine article, you could do research and take notes at home in the morning, write in the library in the afternoon, and edit on the couch at night. Bundle routine tasks such as sending out invoices, making phone calls, and so on, and do them all at once. Advantages of flow. A focused mind, living in the present, we are free from worry, the hours fly by, we feel in control, we prepare thoroughly, we know what we should be doing at any given moment, our mind is clear and overcomes all obstacles to the flow of thought. It's pleasant. Our ego fades. We are not the ones controlling the activity or task we are doing. The task is leading us. The adventures of distraction. A wandering mind, thinking about the past and the future, concerns about our daily life and the people around us invade our thoughts. Every minute seems endless. We lose control and fail to complete the task at a hand, or other tasks or people keep us from our work. We act without being prepared. We frequently get stuck and don't know how to proceed. We are plagued by doubts, concerns, and low self-esteem. It's boring and exhausting. Constant self-criticism. Our ego is present and we feel frustrated. Flow in Japan. Takumis, engineers, geniuses, and the otakus. What do takumis, artisans, engineers, inventors, and otakus, fans of anime and manga, have in common? They all understand the importance of flowing with their ikigai at all times. One widespread stereotype about people in Japan is that they are exceptionally dedicated and hardworking, even though some Japanese people say they look like they are working harder than they really are. There is no doubt stuff about their ability to be completely absorbed in a task, or about their perseverance when there is a problem to be solved. One of the first words one learners when starting Japanese lessons in Ganbaru, which means to persevere or to stay firm by doing one's best. Japanese people often apply themselves to even the most basic tasks with an intensity that borders on obsession. We see this in all kinds of contexts, from the retired taking meticulous care of their rice fields in the mountains of Nagano to the college students working the weekend shift in convenience stores, known as convenience. If you go to Japan, you will experience this attention to detail firsthand in almost every transaction. Walk into one of the stores that sell handcrafted objects in Naha, Kanazawa, or Kyoto, and you will also discover that Japan is a treasure trove of traditional craftwork. The people of Japan have a unique talent for creating new technologies while preserving artisanal traditions and techniques. The art of the takumi. Toyota employs artisans who are able to make a certain type of screw by hand. These takumi, or experts in a particular manual skill, are extremely important to Toyota, and they are hard to replace. Some of them are the only people who know how to perform their exact skill, and it doesn't seem as if a new generation is going to take up the mantle. Turntable needles are another example. They are produced almost exclusively in Japan, where you can find the last remaining people who know how to use the machinery required to make these precision needles, and who are trying to pass on their knowledge to their descendants. We met at Takumi on a visit to Kumano, a small town near Hiroshima. We were there for the day, working on a photo essay for one of the most famous brands of makeup brushes in the West. The billboard welcoming visitors to Kumano shows a mascot holding a large brush. In addition to the brush factories, the town is full of little houses and vegetable gardens. Heading farther in, you can see several Shinto shrines at the base of the mountains that surround the town. We spent hours taking photos in factories full of people in orderly rows, each doing a single task, such as painting the handles of the brushes or loading boxes of them onto trucks. Before we realized we still hadn't seen anyone actually putting bristles into the brush heads. After we asked about this and got the runaround several times, the president of one company agreed to show us how it was done. He led us out of the building and asked us to get into his car. After a 5-minute drive, we parked next to another, smaller structure and climbed the stairs. He opened a door and we walked into a small room. We see windows. Said we move again. In the middle of the room was a woman wearing a mask. You could see only her eyes. She was so focused on choosing individual bracelets for the brushes, gracefully moving her hands and fingers, using scissors and combs to sort the bristles that she didn't even notice our presence. Her movements were so quick it was hard to tell what she was doing. The president of the company interrupted her to let her know that we would be taking photos as she worked. We couldn't see her mouth, but the glint in her eye and the cheerful inflection in her speech let us know she was smiling. She looked happy and proud, talking about her work and the responsibilities. We had to use extremely fast shutter speeds to capture her movements. Her hands danced and flowed in concert with her tools, and the bracelets she was sorting. The president told us that this Takumi was one of the most important people in the company, even though she was hidden away in a separate building. Every bristle of every brush the company made passed through her hands. Steve Jobs in Japan. Apple co-founder Steve Jobs was a big fan of Japan. Not only did he visit the Sony factories in the 1918s and adopt many of their methods when he found Apple, he was also captivated by the simplicity and the quality of Japanese porcelain in Kyoto. It was not, however, an artisan from Kyoto who won Steve Jobs' devotion, but rather a Takumi from Toyama named Yukio Shakunaga who used a technique called Echu Setoyaki, known by only a few. On a visit to Kyoto, Jobs heard of an exhibition of Shakunaga's work. He immediately understood that there was something special about Shakunaga's porcelain. As a matter of fact, he bought several cups, vases, and plates and went back to the show 3 times that week. Jobs returned to Kyoto several times over the course of his life in search of inspiration and ended up meeting Shakunaga in person. It is said that Jobs had many questions for him, almost all of them about the fabrication process and the type of porcelain he used. Shakunaga explained that he used white porcelain he extracted himself from mountains in the Toyama prefecture, making him the only artist of his ilk familiar with the fabrication process of porcelain objects from their origins in the mountains to their final form, an authentic takumi. Jobs was so impressed that he considered going to Toyama to see the mountain where Shakunaga got his porcelain, but thought better of it when he heard that it was more than 4 hours by train from Kyoto. In an interview after Jobs' death, Shakunaga said he was very proud that his work had been appreciated by the man who created the iPhone. He added that Jobs' last purchase from him had been a set of 12 tea cups. Jobs had asked for something special, a new style. To satisfy this request, Shakunaga made 150 tea cups in the process of testing out new ideas. Of these, he chose the 12 best and sent them to the Jobs family. Ever since his first trip to Japan, Jobs was fascinated and inspired by the country artisans, engineers especially at Sony, philosophy especially Zen, and the cuisine especially sushi. Sophisticated simplicity. What do Japanese artisans, engineers, Zen philosophy, and the cuisine have in common? Simplicity and attention to detail. It is not a lazy simplicity, but a sophisticated one that searches out new frontiers, always taking the object, the body in mind, or the cuisine to the next level according to one's Ikigai. As Csikszentmihalyi would say, the key is always having a meaningful challenge to overcome in order to maintain flow. The documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi gives us another example of a takumi, this time in the kitchen. Its protagonist has been making sushi every day for more than 80 years and owns a small sushi restaurant near the Ginza subway station in Tokyo. He and his son go every day to the famous Tsukiji fish market and choose the best fish to bring back to the restaurant. In the documentary, we see one of the Jiro's apprentices learning to make tamago, a thin, slightly sweet omelette. No matter how hard he tries, he can't get Jiro's approval. He keeps practicing for years until he finally does. Why does the apprentice refuse to give up? Doesn't he get bored cooking eggs every day? No, because making sushi is his ikigai too. Both Jiro and his son are culinary artists. They don't get bored when they cook, they achieve a state of flow. They enjoy themselves completely when they are in the kitchen. That is their happiness, their ikigai. They have learned to take pleasure in their work, to lose their sense of time. Beyond the close relationship between father and son, which helps them keep the challenge going each day, they also work in a quiet, peaceful environment, that allows them to concentrate. Even after receiving a 3-star rating from Michelin, they never considered opening other locations or expanding their business. They serve just 10 patrons at a time at the bar of their small restaurant. Giro's family isn't looking to make money. Instead, they value good working conditions and creating an environment in which they can flourish while making the best sushi in the world. Jiro, like Yukio Shakunaga, begins his work as a source. He goes to the fish market to find the best tuna. Shakunaga goes to the mountains to find the best porcelain. When they get down to work, both become one with the object they are creating. This unity with the object they reach in a state of flow takes on special meaning in Japan, where, according to Shintoism, forests, trees, and objects have a kami, spirit or god, within them. When someone, whether an artist, an engineer, or a chef, sets out to create something, his or her responsibility is to use nature to give it life while respecting that nature at every moment. During that process, the artisan becomes one with the object and flows with it. An iron worker would say that metal has a life of its own, just as someone making ceramics would say that the clay does. The Japanese are skilled at bringing nature and technology together, not man versus nature, but rather an union of the two.